What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. In this episode, I'm going to show you guys some clips of some hogs that Dylan and I shot whenever we went up to Jacksboro to hunt with Weston and Luke from Thrill to Kill Outdoors. And I gotta say another super huge thanks to Weston and Luke because they put us on the turkeys, they put us on the hogs, and we had an absolute blast. So if you guys want to check their channel out, it will be linked down below. It is Thrill to Kill Outdoors, and they've got some really cool hunting footage coming up. They're both seniors in high school, so they have a kind of a hard time getting some stuff out right now because it is the spring of their senior year in high school, and so things are really busy for them. But this up and coming summer, they're going to start pumping the videos out, and they've got some cool stuff. So they actually invited us back to hunt with them this next weekend for some more turkeys, and it's going to be the last weekend of turkey season here in Texas. And also they invited us back down to do some hog hunting this summer and a couple of properties that they have access to, and so that's going to be a ton of fun. You guys want to be on the lookout for that. But I'm just sitting out here on the back porch enjoying the rain this afternoon. It's pretty cool. I decided I was going to step out here and film this for you guys because I realized that the only thing that I had for this video was the kill shot. And so I'm going to kind of fill you guys in as we go along and let you know what we did and how we did it. So I'm going to start off with, Weston has a trail camera, and it sends you pictures immediately. Like as soon as the trail camera takes the pictures, it sends them directly to his phone. And so we set this camera up over some bait out in this field kind of next to a tank, and we had some hogs come in, so we decided that after we got done turkey hunting that we were going to sneak over there and try to shoot them. So we got the wind in our face, and that's super important, as you guys know, especially for hogs, because their nose is one of the best things about them. So we circled around and got downwind and came up on the backside of this tank, and I ranged it at 50 yards originally, and we decided we were going to move up a little bit. But another thing that was kind of killing us was, or I guess I should say what made it more difficult, was that these hogs were spooky underneath a light. And the reason for that being was because Weston had shot a couple of hogs out of this group using a bow light, and so they were kind of skittish of it. They kind of knew what the bow light was, and so that added to the challenge for sure. And so the way that I combat that, and I don't know if I've ever told you guys this before, but this is my method. So whenever I'm sitting in a stand, you know, I'm 17-20 yards away from a feeder, and there's some hogs that are skittish underneath a feeder or stalking them or anything, I like to bring that light down or turn it on the lowest mode, and I like to bring it down over their back. And whenever I do that, sometimes they'll spook as soon as the light comes on, especially if there's other limbs and trees and stuff around that can bounce light and create shadows, because that's what the hogs see. That's what those animals see, is they see the shadows. They don't see the light. And so what I did is I clicked this light on, and Weston had already been telling me beforehand. He's like, look, these hogs are going to be super skittish with the light, so we're going to have to figure something out. And so what I did, starting at 50 yards, is I just clicked the light on in the lowest mode. It's my sniper hog light's bow light. And I just started easing it down over their back. Now you guys know that there's kind of like the brightest center beam, and then you've got this kind of halo around on the outside, and then you've kind of got like a little bit of a glow around all of that together. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I know the camera doesn't pick it up very well, but you guys that use bow lights kind of know what I'm talking about. So what I did is I took that very outside halo of the light and I left it directly, probably a foot or two over their backs for 30 or 45 seconds. Now what that does is that gets these hogs prepared, I guess I could say. I guess that's the best way to explain it, but basically I held it above their backs for 30 or 45 seconds, and I just let it sit there and sit there and sit there and sit there, and as soon as I clicked it on, you guys may be able to see it, but they kind of got a little bit spooky and they didn't really like it. So I lifted the light back up, and I think I even turned it off, and I gave them just a couple of minutes, let them eat, let them get comfortable again. Then I turned the light back on and ease it back down. Don't put it on them, but just kept it above their back, hovering above their back, and let a little bit of the light kind of glow on them. And the more that I did it, the more comfortable that they got. And so I eventually got to the point to where I could go to that kind of second outside ring of light, and I could ease that down to the top of their back. So now they've got a little bit of light on them. We can just barely see them. And we waited it out and made sure to make sure that they were totally comfortable, and I eventually got to the point to where I left it above their back for a little bit, for 30-45 seconds, up and upwards of a minute sometimes, and then I can ease the light completely down on them. And whenever you do that, sometimes they'll spook, but in my experience, like I'd say probably 95% of the time, as long as your light isn't zoomed in too much, they're not going to bust. And that's another thing I want to mention too, is whenever I ease the light down over their backs, I make sure that my bow light is zoomed all the way out to the biggest frame possible. And so, and then of course in low mode, that way it makes it really hard for them to pick that light up. And what I did from there is, after I got the light down on them, I started zooming it in a little bit, just a little bit at a time, and it doesn't take much to be able to see them, especially with sniper hog lights. They're top notch, and so it doesn't take much. What we ended up doing was, I zoomed it in enough for us to be able to see them to shoot at 50 yards. Now, Dylan was not comfortable with taking that shot, and to be honest with you, I was like right there on the fence. Like in the daytime, all day long, I'll take a shot at 50 yards, but at night, that really it makes it difficult. So what we decided to do was stalk around the edge of the tank, and as we worked our way up, I left the light on them the whole time, and that's really important because if you try to move the light off of them one direction or the other, they can, and especially if there's a really bright moon like there was that night, they can see you. They can see you walking through there at that distance. And so I kept the light on them the whole time, and what that does is that blinds them if they do happen to look in your direction. So we worked our way up to about 30 yards and drew back, and here's the shot for you. I was kind of worried that night whenever we first started looking for blood, because I wasn't picking up very much, and of course all I had was my flashlight on my phone, and so, you know, it kind of worried me a little bit. But we went back out there the next day, and like I said, we followed blood for a good 100 and 125 yards, somewhere around in there, and we found amazing blood, like blood all over cactus, blood all over the ground. And then there'd be areas where we would go and you'd have to be down on your hands and knees looking for little like pin drops, like little needles of blood just here and here. It was real spotty, and so that made it even more difficult. And what sucked was I never found my hog, and the reason for that being, I know that I clipped the top of the lungs, and I could tell that by just looking at the blood. There was bubbles all in it, even the next day. But I just hit too high, and you know, if you get in those, I know that hog died, but if you get in those shoulders up high, they're going to run a long ways. And that was part of the reason why we decided to back out of there, is because I knew that the shot was high, and I didn't want to bump the animal because I knew that it was going to take it some time to die. And we went back the next day, and we found awesome blood. Like I said, we found some blood all over some cactus, and it looked amazing. Like, I thought for sure 100% we were going to find the hog. But that's part of bow hunting. That's part of hunting at night with a bow, and it can be extremely, extremely difficult because you can't see your peep hardly. I mean, everything is, I'd say the difficulty is increased by, I don't know, almost 100% at night. And so whenever we first got out there the next morning, we looked and looked, and then I see an arrow sticking in a tree just past where the hogs were standing. So Dylan's arrow actually stuck into a tree. He completely missed, which, you know, that happens too. And to be honest with you, just the fact that we didn't find mine, I wish that I would have missed too, because even though it's a hog, even though they do so much destruction, millions of dollars every year, I hate to wound an animal, but at the same time I know that that one died, and you know, I hate to shoot something and not recover it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's one of the worst feelings in the world, especially with deer hunting, or you know, whatever, that goes with any hunting. And so I like to be able to recover everything that I shoot, and I like to enjoy the experience and find the animal and enjoy it with the people around me. And so it was kind of frustrating that we didn't find it, especially after the really good blood that we found. But sometimes it's inevitable. Sometimes that kind of stuff happens, and you know what that means is more practice after dark. And I do practice quite a bit after dark, and you guys have seen my other spot and stalk videos. Sometimes it can be equipment failure, and sometimes it can be personal error. It's just it's part of it. It's all part of hunting. So after we realized that we weren't going to be able to find mine because the blood trail had completely dried up, we started to figure out why Dylan had missed so high at 30 yards, and we got to looking at it, and I have my bow laying right here. But you guys can see right here on my peep where I have these servings in on both sides, and what that does is that tightens this string up right here, and it kind of pinches my peep in place. And Dylan's bow didn't have the servings on it anymore. So over time, and he's had that bow for a couple of years, but over time and shooting all the time, those serving strings will unravel and come loose, and like most of the time you won't even notice it. Unless you're just always looking at your bow and always checking it for, you know, like problems, or, you know, which is a good thing to do, check your equipment, and that's what we should have done. But mine being a brand new bow and just having it all set up, I kind of slack off on it a little bit, and Dylan didn't realize it either, and that happened to me a couple of months ago. You guys know that I had my serving come loose, and it made me hit high on a hog right through the back straps, and that was cool, even though because I had ended up shooting that hog a couple of days later, or a couple of months later. But anyway, it's all part of bow hunting. You know, there's so many different moving mechanical parts on these bows, and there's so many different things that could go wrong during bow hunting. But if you keep up with your equipment and do regular maintenance, you're not going to have any issues. And so we figured out why Dylan had missed, and you know, I've missed too. I'm guilty of it, and that happens all the time. Even people hunt with rifles. And also, I think what had happened to me was whenever the reason why I hit high was because it's kind of hard to move that single pin and see where your needle is resting, like to see what sight or what mark you're set on. And so I think that I had missed because missed high, I guess, or hit high because my pin was set a little bit above 30, and so that threw me off quite a bit. But no big deal. We got it all figured out. I had actually taken my phone out of my pocket a couple of times and turned my screen on and looked to see where my sight was sitting exactly, and I felt like that I had it close, but it was still super dark, or completely dark. And so that's another challenge with shooting a single pin sight. A lot of you guys shooting the multi-pins don't have that problem, but I can't stand all those extra pins in my way, so I shoot a single. And so you know, practice, get better, and don't make the same mistakes again. That's one thing I have to remind myself. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We had a ton of fun, and I want to say another huge thanks to Luke and Weston for letting us come out. We had a blast and made some new friends. So it's not all about just going and hunting and shooting animals, but we got to meet some pretty cool dudes and have a good time and fellowship and getting to hang out and make some new friends, and having some new properties to hunt and making new memories. And so it's super exciting. I'm ready to go back for some more turkey hunting next weekend, and I also have another video coming out for you guys over this bow right here. I'm actually changing out the sight. I have it sitting right here. That will be the next video after this. I'm going to try to, as soon as I finish this video right here, I'm actually going to try to sight this bow in and get it started for you guys. Been a crazy week at work, and so I'm going to try to, I've got some other videos coming up for you guys, so I'm trying to get those pumped out for you, and I know it's been a little bit slower in the last 2 weeks, but they're coming, I promise. Me and Jimmy are fixing to start filming together quite a bit, and some bow fishing and magnet fishing, so you guys will want to stay tuned for that as well. And I know that I told you guys that I would update you on the 10K giveaway for the Sniper Hog Lights Bow Light, which is going to be the same one that I have. And so what you guys got to do is, if you decide to share to Facebook or Instagram, go ahead and tag me in it so that I know that you shared, and give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, and those 3 things right there will get you entered in. Guys, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do it already, because I'm going to be pumping out 2 or 3 videos a week for you guys, and I hope that y'all are enjoying them. But do me a huge favor, this channel is growing so fast, and I can't thank you guys enough for all the support and supporting me and everything that I'm doing, and traveling and trying to get some awesome hunting content out for you guys, among other things, fishing and bow fishing and magnet fishing and stuff like that. I just enjoy being in the outdoors and having a good time with good friends. So I want to share that with you guys, and lots of new stuff coming up. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave a thumbs up if you like this video, and if you didn't like this video, go ahead and leave a thumbs up anyway, and tell me down in the comment section why you didn't like it. But I appreciate you guys. Y'all are absolutely amazing. So I will catch you guys on the next one.